longer in frame.
You're never in frame, but we're live, so.
Yeah. I just need
Hello there.
Scoot over.
Welcome to Aggressive Negotiations. This is our first episode. Welcome to the show. It's fantastic to have you here. I'm really super upset that you completely just fucked up the joke.
Well,
you fucked up the introduction.
We didn't have a good lead into it.
Fucked up the introduction. Anyway, my name is Kai.
I'm Matthew.
You're a jackass and you ruined my intro. I'm so sad.
I'm sorry I'm not a robot cyborg asshole.
You're one of the three.
Wow. Just call me a cyborg, why don't you?
Anyway, welcome to Aggressive Negotiations. We are your hosts. Happy May the 4th.
Uh-huh.
May the 4th be with you.
It's a good one.
It's snowing. It looks like Hoth outside. And Matt, you were being complimented on your shirt. It's a fantastic shirt.
Thank you. I got it on sale.
Didn't I buy that one for you, actually?
You got it on sale.
It's fantastic. So, super excited to be here today. I hope our audio levels are all okay. As you can see, we're on my normal set. We just got some fancy Star Wars shit in the background today.
Yep.
So, how has your May the 4th been today?
I slept in a bit.
That's impressive, considering that you don't sleep.
Would be, yeah. Good times when you don't have to be awake.
And then we went outside, and it's like Hoth outside, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired of the weather, but that's Calgary for you.
Right. It's also Free Comic Book Day, which neither of us participated in.
Yeah,
it's a little bit...
Not a lot of people participated this year at a local comic shop. We drove past, and normally there's a very big line. I saw one person walking out.
Yeah, there were a couple of people with the chat is so cute in the corner. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, the chat is adorable. It pops up with like little speech bubbles in the bottom.
I see.
It's really cute. We were worried as we were setting everything up that it wasn't going to look great, but so far it looks fantastic. So anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream. Thanks for indulging us. I'm glad you appreciate our Star Wars mugs. I am drinking out of R2-D2 today.
And I've got our furry friend.
I mean, it makes sense because you are my co-pilot.
Yep.
Although you do most of the heavy lifting because of reasons.
Well, someone's gotta.
Well, you're also very tall and hairy. Not as hairy as you could be. I mean, that's why you're drinking out of the mug.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't take direction very well.
No. And,
and you will rip my arms off if I beat you at chess.
maybe. There's a reason we don't play chess.
There's a reason we don't play chess. And since we're making all of these jokes about Chewbacca, that leads us directly into our very first topic, and I apologize that we're about to start on a very upsetting note for our inaugural very first episode, and that is the death of Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, no, it took everyone by surprise. But, like, I think he basically knew his health was deteriorating, which is why he got out of the role when he did and taught the new guy how to step into the role.
Yeah.
I know it's sad.
It is. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
He was scheduled to be at Fan Expo Dallas this weekend.
Yeah.
And because his death was so sudden, and it was sudden, obviously he had to cancel his appearance. But they, sorry, gallows humor is my thing. I super apologize. That really sucked. Hi, Hired Huntress. Thanks for following. I hope you're having a great day. Anyway, as I was saying, what they did in Fan Expo Dallas, they had turned his booth. So for those of you who aren't familiar, they have booths set up. So it's like a big old table and with like your banner behind you and all this other stuff. And you get rows and rows and rows. You've all probably been to expos before, so you know what it's like. But Fan Expo Dallas had turned his booth into a memorial.
Aww.
They had a donation box. I'm not sure what the donations were for, but they had put flowers and a memorial, and you could sign. There was a guest book that you could sign to put your condolences into the family, and it was just super lovely gesture, and just hearing about it is making me want to tear up some more. I am incredibly upset. So it was very sweet of them, and it was very touching. The picture I saw had an R2-D2, like a life-size R2-D2 unit. Like, I don't know if it was like it was probably one of the RC ones, like the drivable ones that everybody has, but it was a life-size R2 unit standing in front of it, and it just like, I'm gonna cry just talking about it.
Yeah.
I had met him once in passing when we were exhibiting way back at a comic expo when he was here years and years ago, and it was incredibly difficult because we had to be like professional. Well, I had to be. I don't know where the fuck you were. I probably shouldn't swear on this channel. I don't care. I don't know where the fuck you were. But,
I don't know either.
It's fine.
Normally, I know I shook
the gentleman's
people
hand.
taller than me. So
I think it might have been that there was nobody at his booth, and I just shook his hand as this was like 10 or 15 years ago almost.
Yeah, that makes...
I think I just shook his hand in passing. He was very sweet and quiet and lovely, and it's very heartbreaking. Anyway, I don't really want to talk about this super depressing subject much longer than I absolutely have to, and we have been talking about this for 10 minutes. So, are you ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
All right, well, do you want to start with the positive thing first?
Yeah, no, you were telling me a lot about Queen's Shadow.
Right, so last night, I finished reading Queen's Shadow, and if you saw me on Twitter, you saw me going, "Oh my god, this thing is punching me in the face, in the feels, in a good way," and it was fantastic.
She was crying all night.
I was crying all night. It was really sad. So, Queen's Shadow, I actually have it on my shelf back here. We'll just pull it down off the... So, Queen's Shadow, I should hold it up so that you can actually see it. Queen Shadow. It's by E.K. Johnston, and I finished it last night. I still have my bookmark in it. I read it last night, and it was... The book is super boring. No, the book is the opposite of boring. This book... It hit me right in the soul. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with this book. I have a love-hate relationship with a lot of the Star Wars books, especially a lot of the older books. Yeah. I had a collection of, 100 of these books. And, honestly, some were really good, some were really shitty. Books are very hit and miss, and I read so much that it's like, I have, a huge pile of books to read, and I also have a huge pile of books that I don't finish. And the Star Wars books were always like that. I read a whole bunch of the Rogue Squadron and the X-Wing series way back before they, what's the word? Retconned that whole universe, like before they retconned the entire extended universe. I read a ton of them. And a lot of them I was like, this is boring. Throw it out the fucking window. But the newer Star Wars books, I'm really, really enjoying. I'm not sure if it's just because they're more accessible or if they're more... I don't know. I honestly have no clue. But I am really super enjoying all of these new books. And Queen's Shadow is the first one I've picked up since the Aftermath trilogy. And it just hit me in the soul, right where I needed to. It was a book that was cathartic. It's fantastic. So basically, it takes place in between episodes 1 and 2, as Padme is no longer the queen, and she starts her career in the Senate. So a lot of this is about Padme and her handmaidens as they make this transition from being the queen and her handmaidens to the senator and her handmaidens. So now it gives you a whole look into all of the characters who we knew existed but didn't necessarily have names and backstories. And it's all women. The entire cast is just about all women. There's like 2 male characters on her team. And then there's Bail Organa, and it's all the people that we know from the movies. It's her entire retinue from episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And it hit me in the soul, right where I needed to be. I spent a lot of my night crying, not because it was particularly sad, but because it was just, there were messages in the book and passages in the book that just hit me in the soul. And I feel like I'm totally monopolizing the conversation. I'm so sorry.
Well, I didn't read any of the books. Basically, all of my Star Wars experience has been with the cartoons, obviously the movies, and basically my imagination.
Don't talk about your imaginary Star Wars stuff, because that just sounds like,
Wow, yeah, no.
Carrie Fisher would be very upset with you rubbing the paint off your... I'm just going to drink my drink for a minute.
Drink your drink. Yeah.
You do get to know the double that died in the opening of the Attack of the Clones. You get to know Sabe, the double who was played by Keira Knightley. It's phenomenal. It's a lot. It's really good, and I feel like this is one of those books that's gonna fly under the radar because it is not Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it is not Anakin, and it is not Luke Skywalker, and because it is, women centric, I feel like this is one of those things that the General, or Thrawn, yeah. Every time I see Thrawn, I just think of Thawne, like Eobard, and I'm just like, so the Flash is like all up in my Star Wars. I know it's not, but that's just where my brain goes.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, it's a very good book. It was very easy to read. It's not a very long book, and I really loved it. And from what I understand, the voice actor who played Padme in Clone Wars, in the cartoon series, actually did a lot of the voice work for the audiobook. So,
that's excellent.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think you should pick it up if you have a chance. But that's just me. Being a Star Wars fangirl. And yeah, favorite characters have gotten so retconned out of existence. Hired Hunters, if you want to let me know in the chat who your 2 favorite characters are, I would love to hear that, and we can circle back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, yesterday, because I'm brand new to On Comics Ground, I was trying to catch up on the backlog of Star Wars comic books that we had available to read. And I've got mixed opinions on it.
Oh yeah? You want to talk about that?
Sure. The artwork, for the most part, is good, except I didn't like any of the human faces. They're soft and they're trying to be super realistic to the movies instead of just coming up with drawn faces that maybe don't quite look like the actors. And it's really uncanny valley at a lot of times, or when they're trying to basically make them look a certain way, you get an expression that doesn't show what the meaning is.
Oh, okay, so there was the one... So, he showed me a panel of Luke and Han, and Luke's face was,
Yeah, like...
And it didn't match, like, it looked like he was disgusted or in pain, and it 100% did not match what was going on in the panel.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating.
Where, like, the rest of the characters, like, all the aliens, they were drawn like anything else is drawn, and they had much more relatable expressions, or exact expressions to what...
Okay, so what were your thoughts? We didn't get to Dr. Aphra yet. We haven't, you haven't read any Dr. Aphra,
No,
right? You were just reading the main title?
I basically went right to the beginning of our backlog and tried to scan through a bit. There was a really good one where C-3PO is working with a shape changer, and they've just kidnapped a Hoth, or not a Hoth, a Moff. Sorry.
As in Grand Moff Tarkin? So,
yes.
like, the leader of a high-ranking general guy?
A high-ranking general. Because they need him for some reason. And C-3PO has been put in charge, where normally it's R2 that's basically in charge. But R2 has nothing to do in this, because it's all about wasting time in order to allow the rebels to do what they need to. And he ends up getting on stage and reading a poem and really leaning into the fact that he's versed in however many forms of like spoken language he is. And it was really interesting seeing him like trying to explore.
I'm sorry, I keep seeing myself in the camera, and my hair is just like a wall, and it's really every time I look at you. So I'm like, trying to look at the camera, and I'm just like, this looks worse. But every time I was wondering why you were distracted. I'm just like fidgeting, like, oh my god, I can't because my hair is in the way. Anyway, yeah, that was Kieran Gillen who wrote those ones specifically.
Okay.
And he's the gentleman who writes The Wicked and Divine, the one comic book on my pull list that I've been like trying to get you to read from. So his writing is good, but I feel like there's I feel like there's nowhere to go, and I think this is what you were saying too, is I feel like there's nowhere to go with these characters.
A lot of the time, yeah.
You were mentioning this. I'm just gonna drink my drink.
Like I was mentioning the other day that a lot of what they're doing is basically the same plot over and over. It's the Empire has a new toy. We need to take and break that toy, and then it's the same hijinks in order to get around breaking that toy. Because, yeah, they got to take and try and be stealthy and get in covertly, but of course they're found out, and then it's like shooting stuff, and people die, and the heroes get away.
And not really. So the books are stuck having to tell a twist between episodes 4 and 5, and not really exploring anything between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little bit problematic in your storytelling when you are so very stuck.
Yeah.
Using Luke and Han and Leia, you're very
It's not
stuck.
a large amount of time.
No.
As much as they can try and like buffer it, it's
compared to like episode 3 and episode 4, where you've got tons and tons of stuff in between.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's about to lead into that topic, but I think we're also halfway through. So do you want to? Should we jump into the money zone real quick? As the McElroys would say.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to take 1 second here real quick to mention a couple of things. Right after this podcast, once we're done here with Aggressive Negotiations, Panel to Panel is going to start. Panel to Panel is On Comics Ground's flagship podcast, featuring a bunch of our contributors talking about recent comics news. They go every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you tune into that, you'll get all of your comics news in a 1.5 hour time slot. You can also follow us on Twitter at OnComicsGround and check out our website for all of our news and reviews. I should also mention that we have one other podcast that goes every other Thursday, I believe, and it's called Living on the Edge. It's Spider-Man. It's all things Spider-Man. It is fantastic. You can follow them on Twitter as well at LOTE_podcast. I hope that we'll see you guys all on Twitter, and be sure to check out our content on oncomicsground.com.
Yeah.
Hooray! See? It's easy to do advertisements, guys. Yeah, so the chat says 19 years between episodes 3 and 4, which is a lot of storytelling compared to between 4 and 5, where you've got like 8 months or whatever, or like something a couple of years. Like, it's not a lot. And it's...
Yeah. No,
the thing I'm about to talk about is something near and dear to my heart. And it's a stark contrast to reading Queen's Shadow. And it's literally the opposite. And if you guys have been following Star Wars news whatsoever in the last 2 weeks, you know exactly where I'm going. And it ties into the whole having 19 years of stories that you can tell about Obi-Wan living in fucking Tatooine in a cave, and you can talk about anybody else but Luke. It's probably why Dr. Aphra works so well, which I can't wait for you to read, because we'll talk a lot about her.
Okay.
Darth Vader. The current series. Issue 3 of this series just came out. And it's
a bit problematic.
It's not good. It's not good. Yeah, I'm. Oh boy. Ooh, Sonic. I need a drink. So, Matt hasn't read it, have you? Just what I showed you.
Yeah, no, I've seen what I've seen on the internet.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually read it.
So, I'm not trying to be an asshole here. I'm trying to be very careful with the way I say it. It was bad. It was bad. And it was the complete opposite to me of... the complete opposite to me of Queen Shadow. Where Queen Shadow, reading it, was exactly what I needed. It gave me this whole, like... I'm a girl, I'm a fan. It kind of gave me a window into these characters who are also girls, and it gave me this place to be. It gave me this acceptance. It gave me this whole thing. And it was like, it's okay to be a girl and it's okay to like Star Wars. But Darth Vader 3 did the opposite. The premise of Darth Vader 3 is that there is an unnamed female doctor. She's a lower ranking doctor. She works on the Death Star, and she is obsessed with Darth Vader. The fact that she goes unnamed is infuriating. Darth Vader was always, I had as a kid, I still kind of do, but it's not a crush. It's definitely not a crush. Darth Vader was kind of this character. I was in love with Princess Leia. I am a bisexual woman. I was in love with Princess Leia. But I wanted to be Han Solo because, he was in love with Princess Leia. I never wanted to be Leia. I wanted to be with Leia. I wanted to be her best friend. I wanted to be her girlfriend, And on the playground, it was like, you can't be Han. He's a dude. You're a girl. You can't be Han Solo. You have to be somebody else. So I kind of decided that I was going to be Darth Vader. If I can't be with Princess Leia, I will destroy everybody else. And that is why. This also explains my Riddler obsession and my Doctor Doom obsession. It's like, well, if I can't be friends with you, I will destroy you. So this whole thing started this whole lifelong fan... Not so much anymore, like I grew up and kind of grew out of it, but I love Darth Vader. I really do. I don't love Anakin so much because he's a whiny little Anakin. Mm-hmm. But But even then, Anakin has his strong characteristics and his strong suit. So anyways, seeing this unnamed female doctor be obsessed with Darth Vader and get relentlessly mocked for it in the entirety of the series. Like, she had a secret stash of Darth Vader's stuff. Things that she picked up, like a broken piece of armor, and at one point she gets his cape. And when she gets caught, all of her stuff is thrown in the garbage. She is mocked mercilessly for it. She is threatened with a court-martial even though she did nothing wrong. She goes down to the garbage, the trash compactor, to find it, and she can't, and she snaps. And it very much reflects The Little Mermaid. Except when all of Ariel's stuff is destroyed, she's played off as sympathetic. She makes up a decision to go and do this thing. She's like, well, she has agency. She chooses. Or she has the illusion of agency, which is a whole other conversation that we will have later. She chooses within the story to go to the Sea Witch. She chooses to give up her voice so that she can be with this band. There's like agency there. Where this unnamed, like, it drives me crazy that she's unnamed because she's not important enough to have a name. And it is infuriating. But all of this stuff she gets mocked for. She gets threatened with court-martials, and she gets all of her stuff thrown away, and then she goes insane. And it's not endearing. It feels like a slap to the face. As a girl, as a woman who enjoys Star Wars, it feels like this whole thing was a slap to the face. Like, you're not allowed to have your things. You're not allowed to have your coffee mugs or whatever. You're not allowed to have any of this shit because fuck you. It just felt like a giant fuck you as a woman to see this in a comic. And sorry, I'm keeping an eye on the time because we we don't have
all night.
Well, we have till 6. It's only 5. We've only been on here for half an hour. So we have till 6. So it was upsetting. It was very upsetting, and it felt like a big slap to the face. And I didn't like it. And I could go on and on and on about this. Like, there were a bunch of tweet streams, and there was a bunch of all this other stuff that can explain this even better. But it's just... it's hurtful. And yeah, in the wake of what's happened to some of the actresses being harassed off of Twitter and social media in general, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's upsetting that this went through. It's upsetting to me as a woman. It's upsetting to me as a fan. It just feels like you're not allowed to have a collection because you're not a true fan. It's this whole horrible, like, it's capitalism and misogyny and just all of this, like, harassment and all this other stuff, and it was not good, and it was just executed in a way that felt like a slap in the face, and it wasn't endearing. And the fact that, so then it's also mocking fanfic writers, and it's mocking women power fantasies, where her fantasy is that she takes care of Darth Vader and they become not necessarily like a couple, kind of like she has a crush, and then when her stuff is destroyed, her fantasy switches to her becoming a Sith Lord as well. Like, maybe he'll teach me, maybe he'll protect me, maybe he'll do blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's a go fuck yourself. It's straight up a fuck you.
Yeah.
It's straight up. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. And it's very upsetting, and I didn't like it. And then going from reading that... oh, and then at the end, did I tell you how it ends? Spoiler alert, she gets killed. Darth Vader kills her for no reason. Aside from, she was obsessed.
Yeah.
She did her job. She worked well. She was loyal as fuck. Loyal to a fault is what I was trying to say. And he kills her for no reason. And it's just like, it's the worst slap in the face ever. And so then coming from reading Queen's Shadow, or reading something like Phasma, where it's very much female focused and like positive and all this other stuff, not necessarily, I wouldn't say necessarily positive representation, but it's like you have a strong, independent woman character. I mean, Phasma is as independent as you can be within the rank, but like coming off of Queen Shadow and then reading that and then reading Queen Shadow, I think is partly why it hit me so hard, because it was like, yeah, no, you're welcome here. It's okay. But like, is the Darth Vader series cursed? It's gone through a lot of fucking writers. Because it was Gillen first, and then it was Charles Soule, and then there was that random firing that we're not going to talk about, and then this current business. And it feels like, because it keeps getting canceled in the middle of stories.
Yeah.
Is it cursed?
It might be cursed.
Is Darth Vader cursed? I think that's funny.
Well, the dark side has its toll.
The dark side claims to have cookies. If somebody from the dark side offers you cookies, don't take them.
No.
Unless it's me. I was getting ready for this. I'm like, Matt, do I look like a Sith Lord? Because I got all the makeup on. He goes, shave your head and grab 2 lightsabers and then we'll talk. And I'm like...
Uh-huh. Yeah. Hey, I really like Ventress.
Ventress is pretty rad. Who's your favorite Sith Lord?
Well, Darth Vader.
Oh, okay. Mine's Darth Maul.
I really like Darth Maul.
We can't be friends anymore. See, no, because I went from this whole thing with Darth Vader to like, ooh, Darth Maul, but then they just Boba Fetted him.
Well, they cut him in half first.
He had 2 speaking lines.
Both of them were excellent.
Not really.
Right, I guess not.
They were like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. It was not a lot of... And then he had a really cool fight scene.
His fight scenes were incredible.
Marvel just wants to keep putting out Darth Vader #1.
Yes.
Marvel just seems to keep wanting to put out #1s in general. Anyway. Ray Parks is not the best actor, but he was good enough for my 13-year-old self. Oh, that reminds me. We'll talk about it more in depth, but happy 20th anniversary to The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I was 13 when that movie came out. We'll probably talk about this more on our next episode, but I was 13 when that movie came out. My God. 20 years. 20 years this month.
It's been a while.
I feel old. I was the perfect...
Slightly less old.
I was the perfect demographic for that movie, though. Like, 13-year-old girl who liked Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And then they made the Jedis hot. Yeah.
I loved those movies.
I love those movies unironically, and I have loved them ever since. Anyway, so since we're talking about it, what about that episode 9 trailer? So Star Wars Celebration happened last month, and one of the biggest things that we got out of it was the episode 9 teaser trailer.
And it had a lot in it. I was going to watch it again because I haven't watched it since it first came out. Like, the most important bit in it is Emperor Palpatine's laugh.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, if he's coming back, how is he coming back? And how are they going to take and make that all fit in and be happy? And
fit in and be happy? What is this? It's Star Wars. What are you talking about, fit in and be happy?
I mean, within the canon.
Oh, okay, within the canon.
What excuse are they going to
Clones,
give? Because they have a lot.
Forced ghost. Well, no, hold up. His master was Darth Plagueis. That was the whole big deal with Darth Plagueis. Oh my God, are they going full circle with Darth Plague? Oh my God.
Like, that's one of the ideas.
I don't want that.
Darth Plagueis apparently knew how to stave off death.
Didn't he get fucking electrocuted and thrown down a goddamn reactor core shaft thing?
Yes, he did. And then there's the idea that perhaps he had clones.
Yeah.
There's also an idea that there's a kyber crystal that could basically amplify your force power.
Time out. Talk about kyber crystals for a second, because you are a bigger nerd than probably... Well, you're a bigger Star Wars nerd than me, and I don't know what a kyber crystal...
Kyber crystal is...
I mean, that's... Never mind.
is the crystal in a lightsaber.
Oh, okay. I do know.
Also the crystals that were used to power the Death Star, which is why it's so powerful. That's basically it.
The fuck?
In other words, you could probably say that the Death Star is a really big lightsaber.
No.
I'll probably get some flack for saying that, but oh well.
Is that what powered the laser beams that could destroy planets? The kyber crystals?
I think so. I don't think they...
I don't know. Let me read your shirt.
I don't think it says anything about that.
Nope. It doesn't say anything about that, but it tells me where the trenches are.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
But, you know, like the test...
So how did Dad's Mikkelsen...
Mm-hmm.
That's not his name. I can't... Mads Mikkelsen? Mikkelsen?
In Rogue One.
Yeah. How did he know how to build that? Like, with a kyber crystal? With a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Because he's a very smart guy?
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Like, the idea that only Force users have access to kyber crystals doesn't make any sense. You can...
Every time he says it, I just hear Kaiba, like, from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, God. Yeah.
This is going to be terrible.
But, like, in Rogue One, the test firing of the Death Star that destroyed that city was to cover up the existence of the kyber crystals that they were mining from underneath it. Because there was a Jedi temple there that guarded the kyber crystal mine.
I've seen Rogue One like 6 times at this point, and I never picked up on that. Probably because we're usually...
lovely space dads.
My space dads.
They used to protect the temple.
Oh, that's the temple that they were protecting.
Yep. That's the one.
I've honestly seen Rogue One like 6 times at this point.
And you never...
I don't pay attention to men when they talk.
Okay.
Wow. Way to let everybody know that I am a fake neat nerd girl here.
Uh-huh.
I need a minute.
I don't even know what to say anymore. And like, I'm a Star Wars nerd who knows not that much. Like, I haven't gone full bore into knowing every scrap of information about the Star Wars universe.
Haven't, but I just literally, I apparently Zona K2SO no, because he identifies as male, so therefore I do not listen to him either. He was just an HK-47 ripoff, okay? From Knights of the Old Republic?
I guess. Yeah, except that I didn't play that game. I'm sorry I didn't grow up with games like that.
You know, you can play the really garbage version on my iPad if you want. I paid a lot of money for it. One of us should play.
That's playing it on an iPad.
The controls are shite. I have a this thing, keyboard.
A Bluetooth maybe I'll try it out.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll try it out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a notorious...
We've got an argument going on in the chat about who the best droid is.
I have to stick with R2. I'm sorry. I'm a diehard R2 fan.
Really? But you didn't want the R2 to go on the shelf.
I just didn't want to spend the money today.
I just should have got it. I just should have bought it.
I'm sorry. Like, It was a Walmart quality toy.
I just should have bought it. Yeah, but it was adorable, and nobody else would have known that. You could have repainted it to make it like
I would have
gayer.
known that.
They wouldn't have known that.
Regardless. I love R2-D2. And if anyone says anything about R2-D2 in the prequels versus the...
he was broken.
Well,
in the original trilogy,
you never see him
broken.
topped up on fuel in the old movies, so he wouldn't be able to use his jets.
He was also broken.
Well, yeah, like he's an old droid. They've got
I'm an old droid. He was driving around in the desert for 3 hours. And...
sand in his thrusters. He couldn't use them.
Don't get sand in your thrusters.
Wow.
It's rough and it's coarse and it's irritating and it gets everywhere.
Especially in your thrusters?
We're all up in your thrusters.
All up in there.
That's why there's not a lot of, native Tatooineans. Because you don't want to get sand all up in your thrusters.
I guess I'm going to have to go get R2 and make him gayer. I don't know how I'd make him gayer. Like, he's in a pretty close relationship with C-3PO.
I mean, just paint him with, like, a rainbow on it is what I was going for.
I guess I could do that.
If we're going to give him a paint job.
I don't know.
Pink.
Like,
make him Hello Kitty pink.
I don't want to.
Oh, I'm going to have to go get it for myself.
All right.
We're talking about getting sand all up in our thrusters.
Speaking of thrusters, and not speaking at all about them anymore, Fallen Jedi.
No,
that upcoming game. Who's excited?
Why are you doing like that?
I'm.
Okay, so I don't know jack shit about Fallen Jedi. Oh wait, no, yes I do. That's the one with Colin Monahan or whatever. I
don't know names.
It's the redheaded. It's the one we just watched the big trailer for it, right? It was the one. It's the one with the redheaded guy, and he's like,
"Guess
you're not a Jedi," but he's like he can use the Force, and he's being chased by bounty hunters or whatever in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks cool.
Like, hopefully it'll be cool. The EA is promising a lot, and who can trust EA at this point? They like to try and fuck us over at any turn. And they really screwed themselves over with the previous Star Wars releases.
Yeah, they really did. I still don't understand why they didn't just put BioWare on it and let them do another Knights of the Old Republic.
They had one in the works. And
then they did Anthem.
And then they did Anthem.
Cheers! Yay, Anthem!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all out of drink.
I am not all out of drink.
So, okay. So, Fallen Jedi looks...
It looks good. So far.
It looks fantastic. No, it really looks fantastic. And watching the trailer made me go, oh, I want it. No, it's not Ed Sheeran. Hi, Burnsy. It's Colin Monahan, who played the Joker in Gotham. Is it Colin Monahan? I think so. I don't know, but he played the Joker in Gotham, so he's a hell of an actor.
Yeah.
B, a hell of a voice actor.
I believe he's gonna do an excellent job.
And C, they used his face, basically. But not in the creepy way like the Joker, with like the peeling of the face.
Go to your room.
I am in my room. Get out of my room.
Okay.
But, no.
Like, I'm definitely not going to pre-order it, but I will see what the critics say and purchase wisely.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it doesn't suck. What is going on? Did you touch a button?
I didn't touch a button.
You totally touched a button. Anyway. Fallen Jedi looked great. EA is promising a lot with that. Do we trust that? I don't. Personally, I don't trust it at all. I don't trust EA.
As far as I can throw, a major corporation.
They've missed. Chat was saying they've had two Star Wars games in 10 years.
And I think really what's going to hold them in check for this one is the fact that Disney might just like whip him into shape. Like Disney has a heck of a lot more riding on this game than they've had on previous games because they are pushing Star Wars so aggressively.
Yes. Well, you'd think that there would be a lot more stuff. EA Sports. Yeah, Electronic Arts has had the rights to Star Wars for 10 years, obviously.
Yeah.
Then EA also bought BioWare and something else, and has basically just run them all into the ground and has not been doing a great job of things. Ian is saying in the chat there that Disney was really angry with Battlefront 2, but they're stuck in this contract with EA. So now
they have to pull out a Star Wars win, or Disney is going to find someone.
I don't understand why they haven't, because they have BioWare, and BioWare did Knights of the Old Republic.
Exactly.
Which is like
and
one of the most highly critically acclaimed Star Wars games in the entire world.
Partway through developing a brand new game that EA scrapped. And
EA.
It boggles my mind what
we're having such a massive resurgence of Star Wars and nothing is happening. It's like
they're really dropping the ball.
They really did. A looter shooter. They wanted a live service. Looter shooter.
Don't gym with me.
Am I rustling your jimmies?
Mm-hmm. All right, what else do we have to talk about?
How much time do we have left? We've still got a half hour to go. Hooray! We're doing it. So, this show, just for the record, is going to be bi-weekly every other week. I think.
And I'll cover
and we will have a whole bunch more stuff to talk about next time. It'll be, I don't know what day, Sundays maybe? Sundays seem to work.
Maybe, yeah.
Sundays seem to work. And just so you guys know that if you hang out, Galaxy's Edge is about to open at Disney World. If you guys hang out after the chat, you'll see Panel to Panel, which is going to be our comics news. Although if you haven't seen Endgame, from what I understand, they're doing spoilers, so I'm going to go make supper.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that either.
Yeah, no, we're going to walk away. Anyway, what do we have next? So we were talking about, I was really upset that you derailed our conversation about Episode 9 in the trailer, because that was from Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
And the next topic that I was like, the other big thing that came out of Star Wars Celebration was a couple of massive announcements. First off, Season 7 of the Clone Wars. We're getting another season of the Clone Wars, which means more Ahsoka.
Even though we already know what happens to her. Unless she somehow survived that.
She was 100% in the trailer. Did you not watch this teaser trailer? She's 100% back.
Yeah, but like, the Clone Wars happens before Rebels. It's all in order.
Uh-huh.
And now every time I see her in the Clone Wars, I'm just going to be sad because I know how it ends.
How come yours is colder? Mine was warm. Because I was holding onto it? Maybe.
Probably. You had your hands around it like a cup of cocoa.
The last shot of Rebels is of Asuka and Sabine.
Yeah.
Wait, have you not seen all of Rebels?
I've not seen all of Rebels.
Oh, I guess we gotta go watch. Is it still on Netflix?
Rebels has never been on Netflix.
Oh, is that why we haven't watched it yet?
Exactly.
Shit.
I don't have a good place to watch it because we either don't have the streaming service or it's just, Like, where does everyone else watch it? On TV, which we don't have.
Yeah, so I'm reading the comments, just catching up on comments. Galaxy's Edge is about to open at Disneyland or Disney World, with new films constantly coming out, several animated series, new comics, and there's only been 2 games. Really, really frustrating. And also, it says right here, we need to fund a trip for us to go to Galaxy's Edge.
All right.
There's a donation button up at the top.
Yeah, get on that. I will.
We'll film it. It'll be fun.
I will strap a GoPro to me, and we will just...
But, like, you'll do it like Gambit. GoPro your junk.
Yes. That way we'll still be at an appropriate height.
So, wow.
Yes, I'm kind of taller than most people.
Oh, we gotta figure out how to watch the Rebels finale. We would love to watch Rebels, but, you know. So Season 7 Clone Wars. How do you feel about getting more of your favorite Star Wars?
I really like the clones. All those characters are excellent.
Did they not kill them all off already?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I thought all of them got killed off with Order 66 because they were all bad.
Yeah, but the Clone Wars series doesn't end with Order 66. They kind of left room.
Oh.
And not all of the clones, which you learn in Rebels, succumbed to Order 66 because they got the implant out of them.
Oh, so which ones survive? Because I remember watching those other two going, I don't want to watch Cody be evil.
I can't remember which. Like, I know only a handful of them. It's been a long time. I'm sorry. I can't remember all their names. All I remember is...
Oh, right. It's not on Netflix anymore.
I will never forget Fives.
Fives was the best.
Rex.
Well, don't watch episode 3. We just watched episode 3. What we've been doing before we started this, we've been doing a weekly Star Wars rewatch, which is why it's like, I've seen Rogue One like 6 times and I just don't listen. I make Dad's Mickleston jokes for the first like 20 minutes, and then Baze and Chirrut show up and I'm like, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And then he's an angry Mickleston, and then he's a sad Mickleston.
Mm-hmm.
And then I make dad jokes too. Way too many dad jokes in that movie.
So many dad jokes.
I guess we're gonna have to go watch that again.
Yeah. I gotta watch the originals.
I really don't think we're gonna make it till 6, so they're gonna be.
There's
gonna be 20 minutes or so of dead air before panel to panel starts, which is unfortunate.
Oh, wow.
So I guess you'll have to come back in about 20 minutes because actually we do have one more thing. The other thing that came out. Speaking of the clones and Clone Wars and all of that stuff, the other thing that came out of Star Wars Celebration was The Mandalorian.
I don't think they dropped a trailer. They
just dropped some teaser images, and I think there was like a teaser trailer, and there's a lady Mandalorian and in the armor and kind of a first look deal. What do you think about that?
I'm really excited for it.
Oh yeah?
I'll probably get Disney Plus as soon as it's available. Which is, what, the end of the year-ish? October? I can't remember.
Right. So, how do you think... So, here's the thing. It looks terrible.
Huh?
No, it looks... Okay. I don't like what Star Wars did to the Mandalorians. Because I came up with, Clone Wars, and I came up with... Or not Clone Wars, Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with... all of... all of that stuff with Mandalorian. Yeah. I feel that the Clone Wars kind of, did it dirty. Like the whole thing with the prequels, I feel like they turned the Mandalorians into something that they weren't, and they were trying to make it's the same thing. They were trying to make them marketable. And then the Clone Wars, like Boba and Jango and the clones and all that other stuff, and then Clone Wars, the cartoon series, sort of reset that canon and gave them back the canon that had been set up. So, what are you thinking about that? Like, do you think they're going to follow with that canon and stuff? Or what? Like, do you have any thoughts?
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what time frame it takes place in.
Oh.
So I don't know whether it's going to take place before the Clone Wars, so when Mandalore tried to become a neutral planet, and they had like the splinter cell of still war-loving Mandalorians, or whether it's going to be before all that, when Mandalore was a warring planet.
Well, I have the internet.
I guess we do. And
what do we have about it? It's gonna hit Disney Plus on November 12th. It takes place a few years after the events of Return of the Jedi and follows a lone Mandalorian gunfighter beyond the reaches of the Republic.
All right. Then I don't know what state Mandalore is in during that time.
Yeah, all it says is that it takes place after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order, and follows a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. That's literally all it says.
Yeah, that amount of time they could say anything about how the entire planet is being run differently or the same, or yeah, they could say anything. So there's a lot of possibilities to how it's going to play out. And I think that's all right. Yes. I'm glad we have the internet. Streaming
I'm
otherwise
so glad
would be
we have the internet.
magic.
Oh.
Streaming on magic.
I feel like, so after Return of the Jedi, that seems like a really weird place to drop a show about Mandalorians. Because Boba Fett was the only one at that point.
Boba Fett was the only
Mandalorian who wasn't really a Mandalorian. He just stole the armor, according to the Clone Wars cartoon. According to the Clone Wars cartoon, Jango Fett was not a Mandalorian, and Sabine was pissed. He stole their armor.
Okay.
And that explains why the clones don't look like the Mandalorians, which were canonically always a very Aryan race. White hair, white skin, blue eyes. Like, very pale. They have become death.
I forgot that part.
So, how do I know that?
I don't know.
How do I know more about this than you? So, the Mandalorians just kind of existed in that Clone Wars bubble. And then there was nothing about them in anything aside from Boba Fett having the armor.
Yeah.
So there is nothing. And the fact that, like, I feel like it's a little bit frustrating because they kind of just have their, like, Clone Wars arc.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing.
Yeah, no, it's...
And it feels almost like it was a... like, almost like they were a plot point more than anything else to... I don't know. Like, it because, and then there's a vacuum. And in the 3 original Star Wars movies, then there was a vacuum. There was nothing about the Mandalorians. But they got popular because of, I mean, Boba Fett, but then Knights of the Old Republic and all that other stuff. And Mandalorians were always my favorite as well. So, it's like... there's so much that they could do with it, but after Return of the Jedi is a really weird place to set something for a lone gunslinger Mandalorian. Sabine was great, but she was Obi-Wan's girlfriend, so I remember for different reasons. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so Sabine shows up in Rebels too, but I still feel like that's a really weird vacuum to put. Like, yes, we need stories at this point between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, because there's that whole gap. There's another 20-year odd gap, right? In the storyline. But it just feels like putting a Mandalorian story about just one random Mandalorian seems really weird.
Which Sabine are you talking about?
Or, I keep saying Sabine.
Satine. The Empress of Mandalore.
Obi-Wan's girlfriend, yeah.
Where
I keep
you're saying Sabine,
I know, because I keep thinking of I don't know what. Because look, it's hilarious.
Rebels,
okay, so
there's
here's
a character named Sabine who is a Mandalorian.
Oh, is she different?
She's very different. She's a teenager and not at all in a relationship with...
Okay, so the funny thing, my favorite part about Satine, Empress Satine, is that Obi-Wan Kenobi is played by Ewan McGregor, who was also in Moulin Rouge, who was in love with Satine the prostitute, who died in his arms of tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And what happens to Satine? She dies in his arms of some laser blast or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I was a little bit confused through a lot of conversation.
I didn't know there was a Sabine as well. That's stupid. Is she her daughter? Is she Obi-Wan's secret illegitimate daughter? That's a conversation for next time.
I'm going to have to look into that, I guess.
Well, next time we're going to talk just about Obi-Wan. So that's going to be our big deal after we talk about the news. So now that I've completely embarrassed myself getting Satine and Sabine mixed up.
Yep.
One last bit of news and then we're going to call it a night.
Okay.
So this was just announced today on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, everybody. Happy Star Wars Day. Lucasfilm, I'm reading this directly from StarWars.com on my phone. Ta-da. So Lucasfilm unveils complete Journey to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker publishing program. I love this sort of stuff. All of the tie-in media, all of that other sort of stuff. Oh, she is. I'm ruining everybody's day. We'll talk more about Sabine and Satine later. I'm so sorry that I ruined your day. What with the Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
I cracked up the first time I found that out. I cracked. Matt's like, "Oh yeah, he loves Satine." I'm like, "What? What?" And I really like Moulin Rouge. Anyway, so I really love this Star Wars publishing program that they put out. Like they did it with The Force Awakens for sure. I can't remember if they did it with The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. But they put out books that take place in the middle of this they put out a timeline and they put out comics, books, children's books, all this other sort of stuff that leads up to... It's all extended universe stuff that takes place in between the movies and leads up to the events of the movie. So they did this with the Aftermath trilogy. At least the first one was definitely set before The Force Awakens.
Okay.
And I just remember that for sure. I can't remember what was in the middle of the other ones. But they just unveiled their complete Journey to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker publishing program, which is super awesome. Because that means... a series of books and comics connected to the highly anticipated movie. I'm reading directly from StarWars.com. The Journey to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker publishing program is our biggest, boldest film tie-in program yet. We've got exceptionally talented authors, artists, and publishers creating content for fans of all ages. While these titles will include some hints and Easter eggs for the new film, the majority of these titles will feature all new stories set following the events of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Our Journey 2 books and comics will star Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose, and of course, Leia, Chewie, the droids, and the First Order. Here, you'll get a glimpse at both the state of the galaxy and some of the ongoing battles between the Resistance and the First Order. Blah, 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 blah. Pre-orders for the line launch next week. Until then, covers and stuff, and it's really cool. So, like, for me, the people who are, like, connected to write all of these things, it's Rebecca Roanhorse is the writer of the biggest adult novel right now coming out, Resistance Reborn. I can't talk. It's a Poe Dameron centered book. It's Poe, Leia, Rey, and Finn. It sounds cool. There's also a Force Collector, which sounds really cool. It's a YA novel coming out, and it's set just before The Force Awakens, and it's somebody who's, you know, looking to be a Jedi, kind of like, why does the Force touch me in appropriate ways?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Comics has got a comic coming out called Star Wars blah blah blah. It's Allegiance. It's by Ethan Sachs, which sounds awesome. The description sounds amazing. On the run since the destruction of the Starkiller base, General Leia and the remaining handful of Resistance have barely managed to survive, much less strike back against the superior forces of the First Order. Running low on options, Leia decides to reach out to her former allies, the Mon Calamari, whose shipyards once powered the Rebel Alliance. I am all for anything else with those squid-faced, lovely... I love the Mon Cala. Like, I love the Mon Calamari. And then, of course, there's all of these kids' books. There's, like, an actual golden... There's an actual golden book coming out.
Aww.
I miss golden books. But, yeah, no, there's a whole ton. And then there's a whole bunch of, like, kid stuff. And Phil Noto is doing a lot of the covers. There's a Star Wars Adventure from IDW coming out in the kids' comics. And then there's some Ultimate Star Wars New Edition, which it's the encyclopedia, which is going to be really cool. And the foreword is by Anthony Daniels, which is hilarious to put Anthony Daniels doing a foreword in an encyclopedia because he's C-3PO.
Okay. I'm really bad with names. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. And then there's some stickers and ships and battles. This one is probably your thing, the movie making magic.
Ooh.
So this one is...
I do like movie making magic.
Yeah, so it's a behind the scenes... a behind the scenes thing, including booklets, flaps, magic, like, you know, concept sketches, molds. And it's really cool. And then there's a whole bunch of there's a pop-up galaxy thing and some other stuff and a play set and a search and find, a Where's Waldo type book. It's, yeah, no, these art books. Oh, and then there's the art of.
Gotta love the art.
Yeah, no. And then the visual dictionary. And then,
I really like a lot of the descriptions in those visual dictionaries.
Yeah. And then some other really cute kid stuff, the official guide. None of this stuff is finalized because they can't finalize any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it looks really cool, and I'm really, really, really excited for all of this stuff coming out. It's going to be phenomenal. Yeah. So that's kind of all I have for Star Wars today. Do you have it's been pretty good. Go read Queen Shadow. Everybody needs to buy Queen Shadow. This is like the best book I have read ever.
I got nothing else to add at the moment.
Awesome. Well, this has been super fun. Thank you everybody for hanging out and joining us on our first ever episode. Queen Shadow is phenomenal. Next time we'll be back in 2 weeks. So we're not doing a second episode this week, but we'll come back next week. I know we said 2 weeks, but because we kind of screwed up the thing, we'll be back. We'll figure out a time, and then we'll be every 2 weeks, and we will be back. It'll be great. The next episode the next thing we're going to be talking about is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
And why he's everybody's favorite character. Plus, we'll cover all the news and reviews of anything that we've come out. Our next theme is Obi-Wan Kenobi. We decided that last night.
I don't remember.
That's because you had a half a bottle of mead.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. We will let you guys know. Follow us over on Twitter at OnComicsGround. This has been our inaugural stream. Thank you so much for joining us. If you stick around in about 10 minutes on Comics Grounds, yeah, in about 15 minutes, Panel to Panel is going to start. If you stick around, it'll be all of the news and reviews and comics stuff that has happened this week. So you'll get a whole bunch of free comic book day stuff. I am so thankful for you guys to come and hang out with us. This has been an absolute blast.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come back and do it again. But yeah, we will be back in a couple of weeks. And if you hang out for 10 more minutes, you will be able to watch Panel to Panel, which has got, I believe it is James and Alec today. I'm not sure if Mary's joining. I'm not sure if Travis is on. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Alec is hanging out. So it'll be fun. And again, on every other Thursday, you can see Living on the Edge, which is our Spider-Man podcast. So thank you so much to On Comics Ground for hosting us and letting us do this stuff. We will be back in a couple of days, but follow us over on Twitter at On Comics Ground, and you can stay up to date with everything that we're doing over there. So again, thanks so much, guys. We will see you. It is the same stream, same time. They're just going to take over everything as soon as we're done. So we're going to head out of here. I'm going to go eat something because it's dinner time.
It is.
I guess I'm going to go cook something. So thank you again. May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you. Happy Free Comic Book Day. Do you have anything to add?
Nah, you said it.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys. This has been fantastic, and
don't look into the barrel end of a lightsaber. That's all I can say.
Look, I've been very good, and I didn't make any Star Trek jokes. I didn't throw the Vulcan salute at all. I was good today.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks again for joining us, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See ya.